Hey there. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for March 16th, 2020. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm an astrologer and a counselor. And I want to acknowledge what's happening right now in the world. I want to acknowledge that this is an intense time for everyone. Feelings are intense, feelings are heightened, emotions, opinions. There are a lot of people who are coping with a lot, that are coping with a lot internally, emotionally, and then also security and health and just regular basic needs. So I want to acknowledge that, and I want to let you know that that I'm here to support you in the best way that I can that's most helpful to you. So through videos like this, like the weekly videos, through connecting with you on social media, and then I am continuing to do client work in San Diego, and then also, as always, online as well. So always here to support you as you need. So let's talk a little bit about the astrology this week, and I have some tips for you that I think will be helpful for this astrology, but then also just coping with what's happening and what's to come in the coming week and coming weeks. So first thing that happens earlier in the week is we have the third quarter moon happening on Monday the 16th. So this is happening in the sign of Sagittarius. It's happening Monday the 16th at 2:34 a.m. Pacific time. So even if you're in Australia, it's going to be on Monday. So third quarter. It is third quarter. I think I might have said first quarter initially. So the third quarter moon is the midpoint in between the full moon and the new moon. So this is a time when the moon is waning. Our energy is being drawn more and more internal at an emotional level, and it can show a time where there is an internal conflict, an internal crisis, so to speak. And so I want you to notice what's happening on Monday, especially maybe over the weekend as well. And this is an emotionally heightening time, the third quarter moon. It is a time of also deciding how you want to proceed for the future. So what is it that you want to start to delegate or process or let go of? And these can be literal things, or it can be thoughts or rewriting your story, the story that you're telling yourself. And I think that can be very powerful at this time, because the other thing that's happening is we have Mars coming together with Jupiter. And so Mars is our physical energy. It is like the muscle energy and physical vitality. And it's coming together with Jupiter. So I think this is really interesting, especially since we're talking about health issues this week, and the sense of physical strength for people. So Mars, Jupiter, there can be a tendency towards excess, towards overdoing it and overworking. But it's also a very powerful transit, very much ambitious, driven. There's power, there's desire here. And so I think that it depends on what's going on in your life. The interesting thing is that this is happening in the sign of Capricorn. And so Mars is very strong here. Mars is what's called exalted in Capricorn, and so this means that Mars will embody its symbols in the most easy and beneficial way, but it also is kind of like an exaggerated symbol as well. So I do like that Mars is making this contact with Jupiter in a place of power, in a place of dignity. At the same time, Jupiter does not do well in the sign of Capricorn. Jupiter's in what's called its fall in the sign of Capricorn. So this piece, I would watch out for overdoing anything, because Jupiter, especially in Capricorn, can show where there's a tendency to overdo something. The other piece of this is that Mars will later in the week conjunct with Pluto. So it's going to meet Jupiter and then Pluto. And like this is an intense, like deeply intense transit. And Pluto, Mars Pluto can show agitation, it can show frustration, it can show anger, it can also show like very deeply seated power and resilience, and digging really deep into yourself and finding a sense of inner resilience that you didn't even know was there. And so this, the Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, this to me, there is a lot of desire for security, for success. There is an ambition here. It's a very like high power dynamic kind of feel. But I think that there can also be a tendency to overdo things. And so I want you to watch for that. Or tendency to overdo things, or a tendency to do things with ulterior motives. And so I have some, we'll work with this in the tips that I have for you to move through it in a way where you're consciously deciding what it is that you want to do. All right, the last thing that's happening this week is Saturn is moving into a new sign. So this is a big deal, people, because Saturn is in the same sign for about 2-ish years, usually. So this is a rare-ish transit. So typically when that happens, we notice a shift, we notice a change. At a personal level, it's important for you because this means that Saturn is moving into an entirely different area of life. The houses symbolize different areas of life. And so Saturn is moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. So what does that mean, right? Saturn moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, I think at the most basic level for you as an individual is it means that there's a different area of life where there is a sense of devotion and responsibility and a sense of like really like putting in the work and putting in the time and putting in the effort. Whatever this area has been for you over the past 2 years or so. So Saturn went into Capricorn in December 2017. And so now it's, so whatever you've been working on during that time, and this is like super essential for anyone who has planets in the cardinal signs, so Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries. This is even more influential for you because it's a change. So this means that there's a different focus. So focus more on changing structures. We could look at it that way with going to Aquarius, but I think it's going to serve you best if you look at where you have Capricorn and Aquarius in your birth chart. And that's something that I do in my client work. So if you're interested in that, ask me definitely. We kind of have it's kind of like a little bit of a tease though, because Saturn's going to move into Aquarius from March to July this year. So March 2020, July 2020. And then it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn until December. So the way I look at this is we get kind of like a sneak peek at what major themes are over the next few years from March to June. So I would just notice where things feel like they're culminating. Like that's a very Saturn energy where it feels like you're reaping the rewards of hard work that you've put in, and where things are not working. Because Saturn will symbolize where there is something that doesn't have a strong foundation and it either needs to be like shored up and strengthened, or it's like this is a deal breaker for me. Those are things that you may notice this week. So I have some tips for you. These all work together. So tip number 1 is to ask yourself, why am I doing this? This is important this week because we have that Mars, Jupiter, Pluto. So there is a lot that you may feel like you want and that you may feel like going after this week. There is like something almost instinctual about this transit. So I want you to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Tip number 2, follow that up with completing the sentence, because I want X, Y, and Z. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want something. What do you want? And then tip number 3 is continue upon that and say, because I feel right now. So this you can do in meditation. You can do it while you're standing in line at the grocery store or wherever you are. Ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Because you want what? And because you feel what? So these are meditative questions. These remind me of the work by Byron Katie. It's not about the content. It's about the process that happens inside your psyche as you're asking yourself these questions. So the nature of inquiry is that it makes us realize things that we didn't already know, and this is very Mars-Pluto kind of work. All right, so I'll pull a tarot card for you. If you have a specific question, you can hold that in your heart. All right. So also, I did want to mention before I show you the card that I'm hosting a series of webinars coming up. So I'm having one on the 15th on Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's all about looking into the ruler of your chart, the ruler of your rising sign essentially, and feels very relevant to talk about that now, especially when we are dealing with health and taking care of yourself. The ruler of your chart really is an embodiment of you and how you approach the world and the things that you need in order to be who you are. So I'll have information below on that. And then I'm also hosting a new moon goal setting guide via webinar as well. So lots of fun little things to support you. All right, so the Queen of Pentacles. Oh my gosh, what a sweet card. So this card is about the feminine leadership presence in the material world. I mean, it's very much about security and surety and safety. There is also an element of fertility here, and this, to me, it just feels like very very secure, a sense of like security and holding space for yourself, holding yourself up high and having that sense of authority, but also responsibility to others as well. The Queen card, especially the Queen of Pentacles, is related to that dynamic where you do have a sense of yourself and your independence and your autonomy, and also at the same time, you can be there for others as well. So that is your horoscope for the week. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'm sending you lots of love and wishing you comfort and safety, and wishing you whatever else it is that you need at this point in time. And I'll see you soon. Bye.